listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast with us, the Online Sports Guys, talking a little bit about things going on ahead of the 2025 season, which, Brother John Fox, that starts Saturday.
Yep. It's just dipping below 90 degrees up here in the Northeast. So thank goodness that the football is starting to get us out of this bad wildfire air quality.
We've got a bunch to talk about in this week's episode, and we'll get to those games because there's one, two, three, four, five games spanning a couple of countries, thousands upon thousands of miles between one game and the other. Love the fact that we actually get to talk about some college football action instead of talking about the hypothetical stuff. But we do have some news of the week to talk about. And unfortunately, it's a topic near and dear to Marty's heart. Marty is unable to join us this week. He had some stuff he needed to get taken care of, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to hear his rant about this. And that's the penalties handed down to the University of Michigan. I guess the short version of this, and we can get a little bit further in as we go. What are your thoughts? Were these penalties serious enough to get Michigan's attention, or are they just going to laugh this off? I mean, up to $30 million in penalties, three games now for head coach Sharon Moore. Jim Harbaugh, for whatever it's worth, probably will never coach college football again. Is that enough?
I think laughing it off is the proper way to phrase it. I saw a good way of putting it that they basically paid $30 million for a national championship. And I think they can live with that. Now, there are a couple tangential points to this that I thought were interesting. One, that they referred to their operation as the KGB. To me, that's an insult to the actual KGB in the former Soviet Union, because I don't think Michigan really went to anywhere near that level. Posing as a staffer in Central Michigan State game, that isn't quite the same. But the other part is, I mean, nobody likes Michigan. There's nothing likable about them. It's a shame that nothing really bad happened to them, because it would have been so great there would have been joy across all of college football, because they're a loathsome program. And it's too bad Marty isn't here to share his thoughts as an Ohio State homer. But I mean, this is a place where they have ancient people sitting in that bowl of a stadium on the lower level, tens of thousands of them. You know, Ohio State gets a lot of noon kickoffs. Michigan is the place where the noon kickoff makes sense, because most of the people during the course of that game in the stadium will be eating dinner. So there's really Jim Harbaugh is laughing. They're all laughing, but they're laughing not all the way to the bank, but their bank isn't going to be affected too much by the penalties that were imposed.
Yeah, I kind of can see the thought process in terms of not taking away the national championship to not really penalize the kids that are currently there by saying that you're not going to be eligible for a bowl game or the college football playoff. That logic I kind of understand. I think the thing that sticks out the most to me is just how low Jim Harbaugh is. Um, yeah, I get it. This was coming off in 2023. He was coaching on a reduced contract. He had been told he could stay because they had struggled the previous couple of years, but he had to take a pay cut. and make wholesale changes. And well, I guess he made some wholesale changes. Unfortunately, none of them were really legal in the eyes of college football. And he obviously knew something was coming because as soon as they won that national championship 2 weeks later, he was showing up in Los Angeles. Hey, look at me. I'm the new head coach of the Chargers.
Well, I
And
imagine he and Pete Carroll, before the Chargers Raiders games, will be having a good laugh about their respective uh, exits from Michigan and USC, respectively, doing the very, very similar things. It's interesting that those two guys, they had a stint in the NFL, then went back to college, broke every rule in the book, won titles, got out of there, got big contracts. It's a good gig if you can get it.
yeah, and as soon as the Heat kicked on, they were out the door. Um, it's interesting too that the current coach, Sharon Moore, who was on the staff during that 2023 season, he gets a 3 game suspension, but essentially he gets to pick which games that he gets to sit out. He's going to miss a home game against Central Michigan, a road game versus Nebraska, and the 2026 opener against Western Michigan, which for some reason is being played in Frankfurt, Germany.
Well, maybe he doesn't have a passport, so that was a good choice to not attend. That is, I'm the only one of any concern there would be at Nebraska, but I think Michigan, the program would have it covered without their head coach. Yeah, laughable. You could choose your own penalty.
Yeah, they lose 10% of their football budget, the cost of 10% of their scholarships awarded over the next 2 seasons. We talked about Harbaugh with a 10-year show cause. Connor Stallion is the person who actually tried almost Keystone Cop-like to execute this program. Gets an 8-year show cause order. Stallion's resurfaced in the high school football ranks, which makes me wonder if he's going to be trying to pull the same shtick there. And Coach Denard Robinson got 3 years show cause as well. But really, at the end of the day, it's going to make Michigan a little bit less. They've got some restrictions on their recruiting. Um, but this just basically shows that if you really want to cheat and you really want to figure out and buy away or cheat away to winning a national championship, at the end of the day, you're probably going to get away with it.
Yeah, it's these sorts of tactics are not new to football. I mean, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels have made a living out of this sort of stuff in the NFL. And so to me, more of the shocking part is that the opposing teams don't know what's happening.
I had
If
no
I,
idea.
yeah, if I were in charge of a major college football operation, I would be treating it much like, you know, an espionage uh, sort of exercise. I mean, your opponents will go to great lengths to disrupt what you're doing in all sorts of ways. That's these are a lot of these are sophisticated programs. And I would be surprised if they wouldn't have any, for lack of a better term, counterintelligence measures in place for these sorts of things. But you know, maybe they weren't organized enough to have it going.
The one thing that fascinates me about this is that they did it for the 21, 22, and 23 seasons, and word had gotten out at least a little bit because in 2022 they played Texas Christian in the NCAA college football playoff semifinals and absolutely got their butts waxed. Um, because Texas Christian anticipated it coming and put in some things that during practice that actually didn't happen during the games, and Michigan had no idea what to do. And just that alone tells me that you can't always make it work. And the KGB wasn't nearly as smart or savvy as they think they were.
Yeah, your TCU Michigan example, for some reason I flashed to the Brady Bunch episode where that opposing high school used Marcia to get Greg's playbook, and then they gave him the false playbook and wound up destroying them. But yeah, that is the example. Michigan was highly favored. There's no reason TCU should have dominated that game the way they did. But that says a lot, what you just described.
I also find it fascinating. Apparently, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, at the end of the Chargers game, practice game, exhibition game this past weekend, Harbaugh got asked about this, which is as well he should have been. And the answer he gave was somewhat telling. Like I said to you last year, not engaging, not engaging.
He has no reason to. There's no upside for him for talking about this on any level. So he's doing the wise thing and moving on. The damage is done.
Uh, Let me see if I can get John the.
John Nelson is in he's on a Hunter Thompson type itinerary right now, going to taking the zoo plane as part of the presidential campaign to try to get onto the show here.
Okay, I'm copying and pasting, and I'll edit this part out here when I edit the show. Okay. Okay. He should have the meetings. Picking back up. Um, yeah, Harbaugh didn't want to talk about it after the Chargers beat the Rams in their 23 in their preseason loss at their home stadium, which is kind of weird. They two teams that play in SoFi Stadium actually played each other, which I guess is kind of like a bit of an extended practice. But anyway, something tells me that Harbaugh is going to be asked about this pretty much every week until he answers the question. And the question I have to you is, does he answer it? Should he answer it? And if he does, what should he say?
Uh, if I were him, I would not answer it. I would dodge it much like a press secretary would, and he's thousands of miles away from that situation, years removed. There's no point in him dealing with that. It can only go badly for him if he does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how he can just he can skip over it because I'm at least hoping that the NFL reporters who are covering the Chargers over the course of the season keep repeatedly asking him about it until they hear what they want to hear. And look who's here on a layover himself, Mr. John Nelson.
Well, here's the fun part in all of this. So, as part of the other me's that we all have, I was in Springdale, Arkansas yesterday as we're taping. So, over the weekend, I was in Springdale, Arkansas, and I flew out of Chattanooga because it was $600 cheaper. And the end of my weekend is closer to the Chattanooga airport than it is the Atlanta airport. So, drive to Chattanooga, fly out of Chattanooga, come down to Hartsfield, layover, fly out to Northwest Arkansas, do the thing on Saturday. So then, as we're taping on Sunday, I am back here in Hartsfield on my layover, waiting to go back up to Chattanooga to get my car to go to the last act of the weekend before I get to go home. So that's why I'm sitting here in Hartsfield right now. And the layover is a good 3 hours and 17 minutes.
Well, we'll fill you in. We are talking about exactly what you think we're talking about.
I
Right now,
hope
the subject
not.
matter at hand is Jim Harbaugh and
Yeah,
him avoiding trying to answer the questions about
yeah,
what happened while he was at Michigan.
yeah. And I caught the tail end of what you and Sly were talking about. And specifically, I am not really in the hold my breath mode when it comes to uh, beat writers and or reporters. It might be the random television reporter who is thrown into the situation who may not necessarily be there every single day. And we've seen these individuals, hey, I need you to go cover something. It might be that new person going into the press conference setting to ask that question. And then after the question is asked and summarily either dismissed or fluffed or 20-second soundbite word salad away, there may be a discussion off camera. It's like, well, that's not going to be something that's going to be discussed here. Um, and that non-discussion discussion for me will be the interesting subplot for the Chargers this year, because how many times is this going to come up? Is it going to come up as a weekly thing? Is it going to get sloughed off as a weekly thing? Does Jim Harbaugh walk away in a press conference setting because of what he doesn't like to have asked? um, you know, Ask what it's like to have a show cause penalty until 2036. I mean, how is that going to impact your college recruiting, sir? Something like that. We all know the answer. I don't anticipate that, even if that question is asked consistently, guys. I don't know if we're going to get anything either past word salad or a denial or a roadblock when that gets asked.
Yeah, right now the response is not engaging
Mm-hmm.
because he knows what he's going to get asked, and he
Oh,
knows that
absolutely.
anything that he says can and will probably be used against him. I did go look just to see if the Chargers are going to be playing the Lions this year, because that would be the prime opportunity for him to get asked about it. And unfortunately for us, that's not happening.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Yes. And we
Oh,
also
man.
talked quite a bit about Marty missing out on the opportunity to do
I know.
rant on his favorite topic.
Oh,
Um,
Connor Stallions.
and I'll ask you the same questions that we talked, a couple of same things that we've already talked about. What are your
Sure.
thoughts about the penalty handed down from the NCAA about this? Is it right? Is it wrong? Does Would taking that championship away from them really get the message across, or do you agree that they were trying to kind of help the current players by not taking it out on them?
I think that you are seeing these days the NCAA, when it comes to penalties and uh, implementation, they're trying not to harm the current athlete if they weren't attached to the situation in general. You can take away win. I mean, seriously, you take away wins. You take away Jim Harbaugh's right to coach in college. You take away Connor Stallion's right to coach in college. You add another game suspension to the current head coach.
Of
Um,
which they get to pick and choose the games that he sits out.
yeah, and so it reminds me of the scene in Stripes where the platoon gets together for the first time, and Francis Sawyer is the one who is discussing everything going on in his life, and you have the other member of the platoon sit there and go like this, ooh, you just made the list, buddy. I mean, that literally, that's the impression I get. It's like, oh, where's Count Von Count when we need him? That, or actually more, it's probably more Count Floyd. Very scary, boys and girls. I mean, that's what we've gotten. We've gotten out of wherever the office is now. I'm used to saying Indianapolis. For the NCAA, they're Count Floyd. Very scary, boys and girls. Look what we did to Michigan. No, that's no. Look, I don't think. Look, knocking wins off doesn't matter. I think the financial hit is the one that really, 20. It was a $20 million financial hit, 10% of their anticipated revenue. That's going to hurt them in NIL. That, in the end of the day, is going to hurt them more than pulling wins away, putting show causes on coaches that aren't going to go back to the college game anyway. Look, hit them in the pocketbook. I think that games and all that kind of stuff aren't going to matter. Coaching suspensions aren't going to matter. Hit them in the pocketbook. And I think that 20 million, especially in this day and age of NIL, I think that's the big part here.
How bad do you guys both think that the recruiting part's going to hurt them? They're going to lose the opportunity to go out and engage with recruits, in part because Harbaugh violated that role as well.
Oh, Sly, go for it. I want to hear this.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they'll certainly find a way around it. I don't see much. I mean, it it sounds good what's being imposed, but in 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 all practical terms, I don't know if it affects them really at all on the recruiting trail.
I think that I will be intrigued. What did we say last week? Or does anybody have the numbers off the top of their head when it comes to the over and under of anticipated wins in Ann Arbor this season? Did we have a number attached to that? Does that exist? I know that the network that likes to deal with fans and likes to put them against one another in a duel has come up with numbers. Um, and they have the overs and unders and all of this. I think that if this season Michigan has, if Michigan stumbles and they go whatever you want to classify stumbling in Ann Arbor,
Six
then
six.
okay, yeah, so six and
Eight and
six
a half
something.
is the number.
Okay, so if Michigan is what, Sly, 7-5, 6-6, are people going to sit there and go, well, okay, what's in it for me? And the NIL money may not be there. And so you might have choices that you might have otherwise, and you're going to get some poaching of some student athletes. I would say if it's 6 or 7 wins, I think that you may sit there and see folks getting a little restless, and you may see that recruiting class number dip a little bit. What do you think?
Michigan is still Michigan, and they did go out and get one of the top recruits in the country because
Mm-hmm.
they had the ability to do so. But yes, this season will be interesting now as a result to see if people start jumping ship if they have a second year in a row that isn't close to meeting expectations. But
Yeah, I think if that happens, you're talking about job security issues for Shamar Moore
That too.
or
I think that
Sharon Moore.
that's,
I
I
just
think,
called him an actor.
well, I mean, hey, shoot, look, they could need a SWAT intervention in Ann Arbor if this continues to be what it is. It might be the young and the restless, who knows? Um, but I mean, that third game suspension means that the messages still get relayed, but he's not a part of the day to day. And that's why I was trying to figure out if it goes 6-6, if it goes 7-5, does he end up being the fall guy in all of this?
Yep.
If things aren't going well, the first guy that you're going to look at is going to be the coach, because it can't be the players anymore. Traditionally, in these situations in the past, when we're talking the pros, it's usually you change your players, you change your coach, then you change your GM. That's usually the sequencing there. So the players are changing themselves out with NIL. So that means you've already gone to step two. And if things are abnormal, then I think that this is probably it, sadly. And then if things continue after you bring in another coach and you spend another $8 gazillion in trying to bring somebody in, whoever that next name is, then if things don't continue, then, and this is talking 4 years down the line or something, but then that athletic director then turns into focus. But I think that right now you're at step two. Something happens, something doesn't happen well, then it might be the last season for him coaching at Michigan at this rate.
I'll jump into the quote unquote spicy hot seat scale here. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say at this point right now, Moore's seat might be at least jalapeno level.
Yeah, what do you think, Sly?
well, you brought up something that I hadn't even considered, which is that Michigan might have another subpar season. For some reason, that never even occurred to me. But if that happens, and you have 2 years in a row of Indiana and Illinois potentially having better years than Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and if they lose to Ohio State, they don't have
Mm-hmm.
that to hang their hat on, then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you've got, then you're losing ground. And
Yeah.
if, yeah, if that for some reason that I hadn't even considered that, but that is a situation if it happens, because those other schools in the Big Ten Iowa looks better. Oh, sorry. First, a quick retraction from last week when I was semi-coherent. I said that Indiana picked up the South Dakota State quarterback. It was actually Iowa. So my apologies
School,
there.
Big
But
Ten school that started with an I. You're good.
yes, I
You
knew it was a
rounded up. You
border
rounded
state to
up.
Illinois. I messed that one
Yeah.
up. But
Yeah.
if Iowa gets back on track, Illinois is good, Indiana's good, and Michigan is slipping. I
Mhm.
don't know if that fan base could live with that in the medium term. So that's an
Ooh.
excellent point by the two of you.
Mm. I mean, this. Oh boy. I mean, that just all of the talking points that we get if this continues to happen.
Going to make a mild transition here. We're talking about Big Ten football. Report comes out this week, guys, that the Big Ten is throwing out ideas of proposing a college football playoff that would include not 16, but
Keep
24
going.
to 28 teams.
Keep-
I'm not even
Oh,
sure. I can't even
um,
conceive how you would do that.
talk to one double A, D2, and D3 for your starting point.
They do it with 16, though. There's a difference.
Integrate the current bowl structure. Since you've got how many bowl games right now? 43.
Well, according to what's been thrown out there, sources are telling multiple outlets, ESPN,
Mhm.
CBS Sports, and others,
Yeah,
that they're talking about it would involve eliminating conference championship games.
twice a
Um,
week. Yeah.
I think 7 teams from both the SEC and Big Ten, 5 from the ACC and Big
See,
12.
and that's the hook right there.
Yeah,
That's
and the
why,
games
because it goes.
and the games would be mostly played on college campuses. That part I like.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, Sly, if you're what? So, all right, so 16, you'd have a play-in round. 16 or 24 or 28, you'd have a play-in round to try to get to 16, and then you go 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. We all know why the B1G floated this in the first place is because they're trying to get more folks attached from their conference,
Money,
knowing
money,
full well,
money,
yeah,
money.
well, true, but at the same time, the SEC would end up having more folks in, and so the B1G is trying to create a universe where they have as much participation in it and as many seats at the table as they do with the SEC. So that is a what did we used to call that in the corporate world, a CYA move? And
Not just the corporate world.
so it is a CYA move by the B1G. And we might have to keep this on the QT so we don't all end up in KP. But I mean, literally, all right, so if you don't have conference championships, that adds a week. You're playing every week from the beginning of December. So you have the play-in round, then you have round of 16, round of 8, round of 4, and then
And then your final.
final. So that takes you through December. I mean, that doesn't interrupt your calendar too much, Sly.
The other part of this is, I think, basically eliminate teams out of the top 4 conferences.
Oh, true.
This proposal, I'm sure it's being floated as the haves and have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
The top 4 conferences getting almost all the bids, almost all the money.
Yeah.
The other conferences would be silly to turn that down if they were invited to be part of it. And some of these other schools that have a legitimate claim to being in a top 24 teams in the country who might not get in would be the ones who would be hurt. But I was looking, if you eliminate the conference championship games and eliminate a bowl game, you're not really adding that much to the season number of games. So
Mm-hmm.
this seemed inevitable. We've been hearing for a while that the major conferences were going to try to sort of do it on their own, and this is the first example of what it might look like.
Okay, we're going to go rapid fire here to wrap things up for this episode of the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, week 0, but not week 1. 1 is greater than 0, and 0 is less than 1. Um, Go through here really quick. Your first game of the day, uh, Iowa State and Kansas State. Big 12 college football at its best being played in beautiful Dublin, Ireland, where many Guinnesses will be consumed.
You ain't kidding. Are either of these teams going to have green accents in their jerseys? Do we know this? And do we know if Seamus has picked a favorite yet?
Well, considering one team's purple and the other one is what, maroon and gold, it might be a stretch.
Eh, I think it'd be kind of cool to have a green accent somewhere. Obviously, Sly, the world is over for the loser in the Big 12-18, and we're going to win everything for the winner in this one in the Big 12-18.
Yeah. Then a wide open Big 12. What a first game. Two of their teams toward the top quarter of the league. The loser of this game, unless it's a complete blowout, it's not the end of the world. But what a
come
great
on.
one to win! Yeah, I get the Guinnesses and Bloody Marys flowing early. If you're watching this one,
Get your haggis ready and have it as an accented meal with your Guinness.
Yeah, I think
Get
I wanna
get
say that
in
at
my
12
belly.
I want to say a 12 o'clock Eastern kickoff for them is like 6 or 7 o'clock in Dublin.
Not quite. Well, it's like 5, I think. It's like 5 or
Five.
6. Yeah. So 5 o'clock.
Plenty of time to tailgate if they're inclined to do such things in beautiful scenic Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, you know the folks from Manhattan and Ames will be sitting there, and it's like, no, this is how you do it. There's going to be a massive humanity that is going to learn about tailgating from those who already know how. It is going to be a lesson in tailgating 101.
Yeah, not quite as appealing as having the Notre Dame Fighting Irish playing there like they did last season.
Yeah, and then tell that to Georgia Tech.
Mhm.
oof.
Game number 2, Idaho State versus UNLV at Allegiant Stadium in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada.
Fighting Dan Mullins. Can't wait to see this one. See because they either have a budget shortfall at UNLV or they don't. And you're getting an FCS opponent in there to start things off. It's okay. So it's a win. If I'm looking at UNLV, I'm looking 8-9, 8 and probably something 9-4-ish. Then Dan Mullen will probably say things. He'll win the press conference after this one. He'll credit the toughest Idaho State opponent that they've had in quite a long time at UNLV.
He got lots of practice of that at ESPN over the last year, which
Oh yeah.
otherwise known as the place for home for waiver
Mhm.
coaches.
Yeah, it is the holding pattern for coaches who are looking for their next gig. Literally, ESPN is your air traffic control tower for coaches that are just kind of circling, waiting for the next gig. And so Mullen is now at UNLV. They're going to go 9-4, and they'll probably win their bowl game or something like that. They'll probably play in like the Insight or the SoFi or Cherry Bowl or Garden
Whatever
State
the
or
Las
something,
Vegas
and
Bowl is.
yeah, but they'd have to play that at Sam Boyd. So look, they'll win their bowl game. They'll go 9-4. They'll be okay in what's left of the Mountain West, and then they'll go from there. But no, this will be Sly. This is kind of kicking the tires and making sure that Idaho State doesn't upset you in week 0.
Yeah, I guess part of the recruiting pitch for Ohio State coming, or for Idaho State coming to this year was that you get to play at Allegiant Stadium. But
You get to go to Vegas, baby.
yes, other than that, I don't know how much intrigue there's going to be in this game.
Nope.
It's interesting that that's the only one of the 5 games in this coming week that are not on any kind of a broadcast network because game number 3, Fresno State at Kansas, played at David Booth Kansas Stadium. That one is on FOX Saturday, August 23rd at
Yeah.
6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Big
Is that
news for
stadium ever
Kansas.
going to get completed?
Well, big news for Kansas. They got a $300 million bump in pay.
Uh-huh.
that may be enough to get them over the finish line with the stadium renovations that they've been working on since 1964.
Kansas is a 12.50 and a half. I'm not so sure about your assessment, Phil. I'm sure that they'll kind of think of other things that need to be updated when it comes to David Booth Stadium. But yeah, Sly, I mean, Kansas is kind of Kansas. You've got 300 million. What are you going to do with it? I don't know what you put where, but I thought that this was supposed to be earmarked for the stadium first and then athletics second. We'll see, but you're kicking the tires on the season. Fresno's been kind of hiccupy for I think since the second tenure of Jeff Tedford, and so it's I don't know if they get to the 12, but I think Kansas gets this one.
Yeah, Kansas should have been better last year. They've got a good coach. I think they have a good team. I mean, their stadium renovation reminds me a lot of construction in Pennsylvania, where they road construction, where they tend to make a career out of the Pennsylvania Turnpike or I-79 or pick it. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. But if this is allocated properly in Kansas, yeah, gets good stadium upgrades and facilities, they've got some stuff in place to be a pretty good program going forward.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the Big 12.
Yeah, right.
Your second to last game of the night,
Mm-hmm.
that one on CBS Sports Network, 7 o'clock kickoff. Sam Houston travels to beautiful Bowling Green, Kentucky to take on Western Kentucky, owners of our favorite helmets in college football.
Mm-hmm. Look, they got to market. They have to market the individual athletic sport logos with the hilltop or with the chigger. They have to do that, and because then I mean, and because when they did the individual position group helmets for the bowl game, that was one of the most genius marketing things I've ever seen. And yet they didn't really turn it into something where you could buy gear for Western Kentucky football and you could do it to the position group. Just do it made to order like we do these days with a lot of things. And look, they do it for the sports, but they didn't do it. They haven't done it for each individual position group when it comes to the football team. Sam Houston still trying to get acclimated to life in Division One. And I mean, this is a sneaky good game. And right now, this one is football on a budget, light, $14 get in to go see a game in Bowling Green. So if you're anywhere near Bowling Green, you want to go to tailgate, you want to go see Sam Houston, you want to go see Western Kentucky, you want to get your picture taken with a mascot that doesn't know what bathroom door to walk into, go watch this game.
I'm laughing at
I'm
the
just,
bathroom door to walk into.
I mean, one of the best promos that the four letter ever cut with about their programming was trying to figure out. You see the chigger sit there and looking at each door, and then it's like just pick one. So that's where we are with it, and so we'll see what it looks like. But I mean, Western should win. They should win handily. But no, this is your football on a budget-ish area at $14 right now as we're talking.
And the last game of the night, 7:30 Eastern time kickoff on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford travels out to the Big Island, Hawaii, to take on the Rainbow Warriors at Clarence T.C. Ching Athletic Complex. Your
Mm-hmm.
ticket price there $50,
It's
but
it's a
it's a chance to see the latest and greatest in college football, and it is what Brother Fox said is the 10th time zone of college football in 5 games.
in one day, actually in 8 hours, you travel 10 time zones from kick to kick, 7:30. And full credit to CBS for sitting there with a 7:30 kick. All your commercials take you right up to the late local news at 11 o'clock. You've monopolized the time frame. I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot to talk about where this game is concerned. It'll be pretty pictures.
Mhm.
It'll be a stacked house. Stanford just hasn't been very good. Hawaii could win this one. They probably go 7-5 and then host the Aloha right there, or the Hawaii Bowl right there in that same building come December 24th. So might be a good kickstart for the Bows season. But pretty pictures, cool looking venue, matchups kind of and
Yeah,
we'll see.
two kind of meh teams.
Yeah, and it's Hawaii 2.5 over under 52.5 as we're talking. So basically, the juice boxers Sly are basically like, yeah, we don't know. It's a push.
Yeah, to me, the more interesting challenge here is if you're a Kansas State or Iowa State person who's gone over to Dublin, is that
Hmm.
the challenge is to stay up until 5:30 in the
Well,
morning to watch this game. But I think that would be exciting on some level. But
then what you do is you go to the airport. You send a camera to the airport and see if there are folks waiting for that first flight out. And all they're there, they're just kind of sitting there and they look at their devices like this, and they're kind of slumped in their seats. Probably somewhere in the third quarter, you're going to see somebody slumped in their seat in the airport, and Shannon kind of just going, the device is going and the game is on, but they're completely and totally asleep.
Oh, I mean, after being in Dublin a few years ago, there's a better chance of them being passed out at a bar somewhere, Temple Bar or someplace like
Yeah.
that.
So then you see the game's on, the guy's asleep at the bar, and you just hear Stanford and Hawaii. That, what are you doing, man? So, you try to wake the guy up. It's like,
Get
what
up,
are you watching?
bar.
What are you watching? Stanford. No, it's like Stanford and Hawaii. What is that? One of those.
What is it on
But
your phone?
it's a late night on your phone, man. You better have the great Roman charges, otherwise it's going to be an astronomical bill for you.
What a great
He's
place
got
to.
he's got international minutes. He's okay.
Unlimited calling and
Mhm.
streaming. It makes it work.
He's got all the streaming apps and everything. I tell you, he's got it all lined up for this American football. Those are some great looking uniforms they got there in Hawaii. And why
Hey,
why is it that it's just cardinal? But there's 11 of them out there. Cardinal just means one. They don't
Cardinal
look
and their
they don't look
mascot
Roman they don't look Roman Catholic either.
and the mascot's a tree?
They don't get that at all. That game's a mess.
It makes no sense.
That's the
Guys, on
beauty
that
of it.
joke, we will wrap things up here on this episode because we have babbled on long enough.
No, we
Um,
haven't. By the way, we will have finished this episode. I will be sitting here for another 2 hours as John on a layover. So yeah, you guys will be off to the rest of your day. I'm still John on a layover for another good 2 hours for a 27-minute flight and then a travel back.
you could have tried to talk somebody into driving you up there.
Not after a football game on Friday night that had rain delays. Look, game ended about midnight. I got into the hotel about 2. Fell asleep at about 2:30. 4 o'clock wake up call. Drive to the airport. First flight out to come back here to Hartsfield, layover, and then fly out to Northwest Arkansas. Saved me $600. I points the whole thing, points the hotel, points the flight. Only thing I paid for was gear and car.
And that is your flight tip for the week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will be back next week when we can talk about the official kickoff, the week number 1 of the season, even though week number 0 technically is the kickoff. For John Fox, John Nelson, I am not a John, I am Phil Cantor. We are part of the Online Sports Guys team. We are here every week.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you will tune in. Hopefully you will like. Hopefully you will subscribe because that's what you're supposed to say on social
You,
media. Have a great
you,
week,
you,
everybody.
you took my line, man.
Yeah, I did.